Hello everyone. I hope by this take we will get the video that I will be publishing because I don't know anything anymore. I am very flustered. I was trying my best to do something better with my equipments, and something is not right, or anything is not right, or nothing is right. I don't know what to say. But the good thing is that I have been able to keep my word, and here I am to talk about two books again. One that I was reading in the previous video, rather not in the previous video. What I mean to say is, in the previous video, I mentioned one of them which I was reading back then, and now I have started another book, but I have not gone far, and also it is included in academic syllabus. So here we go. Thank God. Maybe it is the 13th or 15th take, and again we will find out that the sound is not clear and I don't know what not. Never mind. So, as a tribute to such a beautiful gloomy day, I would like to hold some space to talk about, my God, the horns. I would like to hold some space to talk about the book, The God of Small Things, which I have been able to finish reading successfully by the second attempt. Now, as I have already said in the earlier video, that it was rough on me because I did not have as much knowledge of words needed to have a smooth experience while reading this book. It took me some time, maybe it took me kind of 4 days, though I haven't read the book throughout the day. Maybe 2 or 3 hours on some days, one or on the other. I haven't exactly recorded that, so don't go for that aspect. I myself don't know exactly how many hours did it take, but I know this thing, that my brain was buzzing, like what should I say, I was having a hard time reading this book because my head had to process a lot more. It was not very breathable for me while reading this book, not because of the narrative, but because of what I lack in skills when it comes to English literature. I should have had a better grasp at this language, but what can we do? So, to be honest, till I finished reading this book and tried my best to dissociate from it, to have some space between me and the text so that I can breathe a little, I would like to say that after all that happened, I could only realize why the reviews that are printed in this book sound the way they sound. What I mean is, okay, so I can give you an example. So the pioneer says it is a sad story told very hilariously, very tenderly, and very craftily. Now, what I mean to say is that this book doesn't spare a moment to try to make you laugh. Not like not exactly with shallow humor, but it can get it does contain a couple of bizarre, funny anecdotes, which I don't want to talk about directly. Like, I don't want to quote them because I don't think they are for everyone. But also the notion that it is a sad story, and the narrative is hilarious and yet very smart and crisp and sharp. Now, the use of the word crisp might not be properly done, might not have been properly done by me, because this book has a very meandering style. Now, we first of all we keep jumping from past and present. So the story goes around dizygotic twins, Rahel and Estha, and I won't give you away much, but we see them almost in their childhood, like around the ages of 9 or 10, and then like around after that we see them when they are in their late 20s or 30s, I guess. I am not really sure. I have a very bad memory. That's why I was rushing to make the video so I don't forget about it. By the way, did I say? Okay, no. I got distracted. So the thing is that this book deals with very delicately sincere matters. It gives you a picture of the political scenario of the given time that this book talks about. And to be honest, me not being from the part of India on which this book is written, I'm very much surprised and happy to know about the details, but obviously it was not a fun experience, because yes, I value the knowledge, I will value the stories, the anecdotes, the historical records, but yet there were problematic things, obviously not because of the writing, because the time was like that, and we can see the effects of Green Revolution, rather the bad effects of Green Revolution, and other aspects of the contemporary Indian political milieu. So now what I would like to say, it looks like I am giving you a lecture, but I'm just trying to talk about it. This book made me crazy about deciphering that how I exactly feel about a character. What I mean is that this book doesn't I will keep fumbling. This book doesn't ask you to love a character or hate a character, but the proficiency of the narrator, the author, is so great that you are there just like banging your head on the walls to decipher how you feel about these characters exactly. So there are characters female characters who have been subject to the patriarchal oppression, who has been mistreated by their husbands, yet in places they don't offer the freedom, or rather the humanity that another person requires, only because they didn't get that. What I'm trying to say is that when you are talking about something, or when you are reading a book, you see that this character has gone through such a traumatic experience, and then when it comes to their children, their sons and their daughters and their other children, they still hold certain ridiculous values so close to their hearts that their own children, their dear ones, or the people who are there to look after them, to shower them with their care and love and joy, those people don't get a chance to even touch that heart, because this lady, who have been subject to oppression and torture, feels that as she has been a victim and she has gone through that, she doesn't need to be human anymore towards anyone. I don't know if that makes sense to you. It doesn't to me, but I won't say that I haven't seen such characters in real life, but again, to experience certain similar things for the umpteenth time, obviously to experience certain gruesome things for the umpteenth time is not fun. This book is not supposed to be fun. And again, I was digressing. What I was trying to say is, there is a sad story, yes, but when the narrator is being hilarious about it while narrating it, to me it feels that the story is too painful to be uttered with a straight face. Again, I tried to read this book a couple of years back, perhaps 4 years back, and now when I have finally finished reading it, like till page number 200, I guess, I was still struggling a lot. I was just a step away from DNFing it, only because I was rushing to finish it. What I feel is that this book claims serenity. As I mentioned the word meandering, this book has a very significant river. This book talks about a river at certain important parts, and that river is not very choppy, but it is kinda devious, and the pace of this book is like that. If you have time, if you are not in a hurry, if you don't have to write a paper very soon on it, or if there is no compulsion to finish it very soon, then please take your time to read it if you want to savor it. I don't know what happened, how it changed, but I was furious with myself and how I was reading and how the book was receiving me, that I was very frustrated. But eventually I came across around the most of the sections. The thing is, this book has multiple chapters, The chapters are, there are 21 chapters, and the initial chapters are much lengthier than the ones on the end. And what I'm trying to mean by that is that when I started reading this book, because I had already had an experience last time when I was having a rough time, so I put it down. It was not an easy experience for me to keep remembering the struggles I had last time and still trying to choose this book to read, feeling confident that no, this time I can do better, and yet I'm struggling. So I don't know what it tells about the book, or maybe it tells more about me, but whatever. This book, for me, can be a treat, is a treat, only if it is consumed at a slower pace. I am not asking you to drag yourself down to slow yourself, but what I mean to say is be patient with this book. If you are someone like me, be patient with it, because the book revolves around a lot of delicate topics, and all are such beautifully interwoven that when the entire tapestry reveals itself to you, it is pretty astounding. But at the same time, I should give you the trigger warnings. There is child molestation, there is physical abuse, there is marital abuse, there are other triggering ugly things. I don't know, just learn about those triggers before you get to reading this book. Again, I am not asking you not to read it. I will be reading it again, because last time, like this time, when I read it, I had to I had to look up the dictionary or Google to learn the meanings of the words that I don't know. But I need to have a better experience. I want to read this book like a piece of poetry. So when I will have a calmer mind, hopefully, and I will have less of other things going on, and I will be in less hurry, I would like to read this book again. Arundhati Roy is a very magical writer. The book at times feels like as if she's writing it while sitting in front of me, because the narrative style, the repetitions, which might feel very irritating to some people, I won't lie, I was feeling irritated as well initially when I was struggling to read it. And mind you, that was till page 200, and this book is like 340 pages, so it was not easy. But I had faith in my friend's recommendation, so I did push through it. I am not here to recommend you to read this book, but I won't bar you from it. If you choose to read this book, just make sure that you are at a mental space where you can deal with, okay, there are gruesome, heinous scenes also, so if those graphic, bloody scenes make you feel uncanny, please do what you think is best for you. So I myself am heaving right now, because I don't actually have the words perhaps to describe what I felt, because as it took me such a long time to read, I was feeling those things for that long span of time, and for me to recall them is impossible, because there are too many things happening, and all are connected. I love the title of the book. I loved the title of the book before I bought it. Back then I had no idea about what it is. This book has no blurb. I don't know why it doesn't have it. And I never asked anyone much about what is happening or all. So I just bought it. And after reading it, there is a chapter itself, God of Small Things, but the moment you learn about this entity and get to identify this entity, something topples over in your mind space. And there are brutal details. There are multiple deaths. But the way I am speaking about it right now is very demeaning to what this book stands for. So, if you are planning to read this book, go to some sources or read some reviews where people are more composed and more objective about it. It is a very sad book, indeed. Maybe most of the books that I read are sad books, because that is the reason that I'm reading it primarily. But had this book not been expressed in this narrative style, it would have been catastrophic on the people who are there to listen to the story. It just wrenches your heart out. It is so painful, and the thing is that the narrator doesn't let you, or rather, yes, the narrator doesn't let you to deal with this pain, because the moment you start feeling the pain, and by the time you get to recognizing it, the narrator takes you to a trip while making fun about the entire incident, where you feel puzzled that should you laugh at it or should you feel the pain or should you just move on. And this, I would say, for me, is the one of the characteristics of a great writer, perhaps. I am no one to, I'm no expert, but for me, that is really striking. Perhaps the most human act that we can perceive in this book is the fact that the narrator, Arundhati, I shouldn't say, but the narrator or the author, Arundhati Roy, consciously perhaps used, obviously consciously, she is the creator of the entire universe of this book. So, Arundhati Roy chose to put the story out in a comical way and that is perhaps the most liberating and most human thing that could have been done about this entire story. Like, she spared us, or rather most of us, to move on with our lives, because if you don't get over it, that will be pretty scary. So here is the book, The God of Small Things. I rated it 4 stars. Perhaps, yes, I gave it 4 stars, and it is not like I did not like it. I loved it. You can see the amount of tabs there are, and there are more lines. Like I ran out of tabs, so every other page has a line for me to mark. So, and the fact that again you don't get to decide. Arundhati Roy makes you start to feel in a certain way about a character, be it a good way or a bad way, and then suddenly just soft launches some other aspect of this person's life, and you just can't wrap around your head that what is happening. Like, should it be justified that because that person was in so much pain, that this was the action that person has taken? Or should I despise this person for being so brutal, so inhuman? And perhaps that's the magic. I hope I had better oratory to be able to talk about this book, but I can consciously say that this will be one of the remarkable reads that I have ever had. Now we will be moving towards the second book, rather the other book that I started reading, The Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. So I don't think that many people are interested about Chaucer, but what I would like to say that if you're reading this Penguin edition, if you have it, or if you can thrift it from somewhere or borrow it from somewhere, do read the initial pages, like the introduction about the poet himself, his life, his works, and then move towards the Canterbury Tales to know better about how to treat this book, this piece of literature. I told you the same thing about Kafka when we were talking about Metamorphosis in our last video, but in that case also, because these authors are no more around us, so I would highly recommend you to learn about the poet, the person, the man, the woman, whoever they are, behind this entire piece of literature, because that gives you a lot of space to have a better foothold while you try to take a dip in this entire huge sea of literature. I'm being dramatic, I know that, but I personally had we had the prologue of Wife of Bath's Tale when we were in our bachelor's program, and yes, it was a smart piece of literature, but somehow I did not like it. like reading it. Maybe back then I almost, like, I started to despise every book that was recommended in my syllabus, but now, though it is now in my syllabus, but now when I am reading this book, I find it pretty interesting. I won't be talking much about it today, but hopefully there will be another video when, if I get to finish reading it or whatever happens, in that video I will be telling you about what I felt. So yes, it was a very lengthy video. I won't drag it any longer. I hope you are doing well, and thank you for your time. Goodbye.